Have you ever noticed that the closer you get to your biggest goal, the harder it suddenly may feel to move? You may tell yourself, like, I just need to work a little harder, or I need to stay on top of everything, or if I hire the right person, then everything will click. But what if none of those are the actual problem? What if the very identity that built your first 50K, 100K, quarter of a million, half a million, or even your first $1 million business is exactly the identity that's preventing you from going beyond? If you're a founder who's built a successful business, you've proven yourself, you've generated consistent revenue, you've hired a team, people look at your life and think, oh my gosh, they have made it. But internally, you're working harder than ever. You're still checking Slack late at night. You're still on the team communication thread on Slack or on your text messages. You still feel like if you don't catch it, something's going to fall through the cracks. If you don't deliver the work, something's going to fall through. And secretly, you're wondering why success doesn't feel easier because you think it should have at this level that you're playing at. Then this episode is going to be for you. I'm Kimberly Spencer, founder of Crown Yourself. And for over a decade, I have been coaching in high level private containers, one on one founders from 0 to 50K to 100K to 250K to a million to 8 figures and even 1 billionaire founder. I have helped entrepreneurs consistently break through the invisible ceilings that just a simple strategy can't solve, bridging neuroscience, NLP, leadership psychology, high performance, and sovereign identity to help them build businesses that no longer depend on just hustle and grit for growth, but then also allow them to feel peace, fulfillment, and have spaciousness in their schedule to also do the other roles and live a life of fulfillment. This is the work I love the most. It's not just about helping someone build their first business or scale to their first million. It's helping someone who's already successful, who's been successful in a previous career, or who is already successful in their existing company, become the person who is capable of sustaining at their next level. Your 50K identity will not sustain your $1 million identity. And it won't support it either. But so many founders are still operating as if it's all on them. And it keeps them stuck, trapped, hyper-vigilant, and their team feeling a little discouraged and underappreciated. So I recently worked with a client who had built an incredible business. She was doing around 600 to 750K a year. And everyone assumed she just needed a better marketing strategy because she constantly was launching products every single month. Every single month. She had a new product that she was launching. But she didn't need a new product. She needed a few simple systems and a new identity because underneath her success were 3 unconscious beliefs that I have seen consistently plague entrepreneurs right around that $1 million level. Number one belief, I have to work hard to make more. So the reason she was still stuck at that 750K level, she was consistently launching. She'd built a community of over 30,000 individuals in her industry. The problem was that she had this undercurrent belief that was hijacking her ability to make more. We not only shifted that belief, but we looked at the actual tactical, practical applications. So I sat down in a coaching session with her and I said, you're launching every month and you're kind of frying yourself. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. This is exhausting. And I said, but you have products from like 2 years ago because she'd been launching a product every month for a couple years. And I said, how many of your new clients and customers are coming in know about those old products? And she goes, well, they're on my website. And I was like, yeah, but what about something practical and sustainable? Do you have upsells, downsells, cross sells, and order bumps? And she was like, yeah, well, I know I should put those in. And anytime I hear a founder say, I know I should put those in, that means they haven't done it. And that means that their belief system, their unconscious identity is capping them at a belief system. And the belief system that was running her identity was, I have to work hard to make more. So putting in simple systems like upsells, downsells, cross sells, and order bumps, that a simple system went directly against her belief system that I have to work hard, because a simple repeatable system where even if she wants to continue launching once a month a new product, she could have a simple system that allowed her to have a lot more ease and flow and revenue in her business. Well, we shifted that belief system and she implemented upsells, downsells, cross sells, and order bumps. What happened? She made 42,000 extra dollars doing nothing else except for a repeatable one-time system that she put into place in her business. On top of that, the next month, with the repeatable systems that she had built, she then took an existing product, sold it, one that she had launched years ago, resold it to her community, who a lot of them were new. They hadn't seen her older stuff. She hit her best revenue month ever, doubling at multiple six figures. The second belief system that I see bump up against founders is if I'm not hyper vigilant, everything will fall through the cracks. This happens so often when you're so used to being the one that everyone counts on, and you end up as the founder being the greatest bottleneck to the growth because you're not empowering your team. And what I see with this belief system and how to know the clues if you're in this one is if you constantly have to be looking at your Slack or your team's text messages to see what, if anything, something could be going on. I also see this if there's no systems in place that empower your team to make decisions. So, a lot of times, this is where a founder can have it's less of task overload because they've already delegated the tasks, but it's more the mental overload of strategy and of decision fatigue. And decision fatigue really adds up and leads to burnout fast. So we want to look at what are the things that are preventing you from making faster decisions and how can you empower your team to make those decisions. I was working with a founder who was at the seven-figure level and she had a small team of 5 and we looked at her team and I asked her who's the best person at sales. And she told me one of her team members and I said, how can you position her in a position of leadership to then showcase how she does sales the best and how she manages? Well, she made these simple shifts in the system. Her team was actually asking for her not to be so involved because it was preventing their growth. She had hired great people who wanted to take on more responsibility. But because she was the bottleneck of making those decisions, we had to look at what is her decision making criteria that a decision then gets passed off to the founder and what is the decision making criteria that the team can handle. So we created a simple list of qualifying sales questions for her industry, for her clients to say this is a hell yes or a hell no, or this is a pass this one off to the founder. So with creating that system, she eliminated 80 of the decisions that she had to make and delegated that 80% to her team. What that allowed her to do was have more spaciousness to create her media brand, which then creates more opportunities for more money and more deals and more people coming into her existing business. Win-win. But she had to get out of that hyper-vigilance. The third one is the harder one for founders that I see consistently at that high 6, 7 figure level. And it's no one can deliver as well as I can. And typically, where this comes into play is in the zone of excellence. And if you want to watch a video on the zone of genius and how to decipher what is your zone of genius versus the zone of excellence, next after this one. So, the zone of excellence is typically the thing that you've been praised for a long time for. You've been praised, you've gotten accolades. Maybe that was your job in corporate or in some other industry for years. That zone of excellence can be the greatest bane to stepping into that role as visionary founder and conscious leader of the company. And what happens is at that space, the plagiarized programming that's coming into play is that no one can deliver as well as I can. And there's a hypervigilance that's still at play, but more it's around delivery. And more, this is an illusion of the ego because ultimately anything in your zone of excellence is a learned skill. Your zone of genius are those natural divine talents that were gifted to you that were just like you are so naturally good at it. It's crazy that people don't think like you. It's weird to get paid for it because you think, doesn't everybody think like this or doesn't everybody do it like this? No, that's you. That's your special secret sauce. But your zone of excellence is typically what we're praised and taught and trained to lean into through traditional education. And through that space of traditional education, and leaning into your zone of excellence, that's typically what you get a job in. Like my zone of excellence was teaching Pilates. I was really damn good. That was my first business. I was really good at teaching Pilates, at kicking people's butts, at fitness, at understanding the body, at looking at the micro movements. I could see so many pieces and aspects of the person. But what was in my zone of genius was coaching. What was in my zone of genius was seeing, oh, wow, this person's not just coming to me with like wanting to get better abs, but they're actually coming to me with a mindset issue that they don't see that they are like 2 weeks away from achieving their goal because they are blinded by their old identity. That was what my zone of genius was in. But I didn't know that that was a skill set that I could monetize until a decade later. So the zone of genius is the thing that you do so exponentially well. Zone of excellence is that delivery system. And because your zone of excellence is a trained skill set, that also means that you can train someone in that skill set or you could hire someone for that skill set. The thing is, and the challenge that comes with that is that you're looking for someone who has mastered a level of skill set that probably took you at least a decade to master yourself. And so you are looking to have someone come in and come into play who has a level of experience, expertise, and skill set, and then who could also essentially shadow you in your zone of excellence to see and rework how you do what you do and how you do it so well. And then once you have that person in place, then the delivery gets a ton easier and you have more spaciousness to stay in that visionary role. And the last belief that I see that continuously impedes founders from growing, it comes from society. So often in our society, and this is not about blaming our society, this is about just recognizing it is what it is. We have been praised for our productivity and our output. Our economy is literally based on our output. Now, our economy is shifting, and a lot of output is being replaced by AI and will be replaced by robots. That is the change of our time. So, we are having to reevaluate our identity, not based on just what we do, but on who we are. And when you're shifting into that visionary role, the visionary role is the one that can 10x companies. It's the one that comes up with crazy, amazing, beautiful ideas that catapult visibility, that skyrocket opportunity. But you have to have spaciousness to be in that role. And traditionally, through our more archaic systems of education, we have been praised for doing and for output. Study for the test, get the good grade, get the good grades, go to the next role. So it's very linear. The visionary role is an exponential role. You are playing on a different level. One is Newtonian, one is quantum. So we want to look at how can you lean into quantum role of the visionary, which means having systems that are in Newtonian time to support for that and having the spaciousness to be in that visionary role. Because in the visionary role, you're praised not for your doing, but for your thinking. For your thinking, for your insights, for your divine downloads, for those connections that you make that your only people are like, oh my gosh, that's original IP right there. That's brilliant. It requires spaciousness and it requires thinking. And that's why if you want to watch another video on the power of strategic slacking, go and watch that one next so that you can practice the art of getting more spaciousness to be in the visionary role and have more space to think, not just do. That's what your team is for. Your team is now for the doing. You are needed to do more thinking than operations. If you love this episode and you're approaching your first million, hit the like button, subscribe, and tell me what is the number one belief out of those four that you have been buying into that has been capping your growth and potential. And we have our sovereign leadership assessment that will assess in what area are you diluting your authority and what belief systems are coming into play from old subconscious patterns that we get to rewire and retool. And that is in our sovereign leadership assessment. So click down below to take that quick quiz to get that assessment so that you can know how to take your business to that next level and uproot that old identity so you can start playing at the level that you not only want to, but deserve to be playing at because of the level of success that you've already achieved. Thank you. And I'm so excited to see you in the next episode. As always, own your throne, mind your business because your reign is now.